G'day everyone. Skalpel is definitely one of the harder bosses of the game. He has very janky, strange attack timings with his sword, and he has a very dangerous second phase, not to mention all the plague and other stuff going on. I do have a few specific ways to make the fight a fair bit easier, but there's no way around the fact that it's just a hard fight and you're going to need to practice the boss for a little bit. Now my first tip, and it is more of an advanced tip, is to use the reflection ability if you're comfortable to do so or to learn it. Watch here. It does literally half his stamina bar every reflection. And if you're confident enough or reliable enough with your reflections to get 2 in a row like this, 2 reflections and you will stagger the boss, you can do some damage, get out a brutal attack, do some more damage, huge combo chain. Reflections are by far the most effective way to fight the boss if you're comfortable and confident in doing them. Now I'm not going to bullshit you, reflections are not easy. They are not easy, they are quite hard, they are the hardest attack animation to time correctively for a perfect timing, and they will definitely take you a little bit of practice to get this right. However, that practice might be worth it if you want to go down this avenue. A quick point to note, if you are wanting to learn how to do reflections, you need to preemptively use them. You don't use them right in the moment before, you need to use them so that your weapons actually clash like you can see here, right? And that's how you get a perfect reflection. If you're trying to just press it the moment before you get hit, like a brink guard, no good. That's not how you do them. You need to do them in advance so that your actual weapons collide. I recommend doing these with Skalpel's 2 or 3 basic sword attacks. Next valuable tip is that when Skalpel climbs up on top of his coffin like this and does those big pulses, if you just attack him, just start attacking the coffin with 2 or 3 of your biggest attacks or a command ability, you'll actually interrupt the attack and knock him off, which is really important because at the end of that attack he goes into his berserk phase where he's much more dangerous and deadly and does a lot of plague damage. Don't worry if 1 or 2 of those pulses is going to hit you, just try and attack through them because it's more important to knock him off and interrupt this attack. He also only does this attack when he's built up enough blood on his sword by striking you effectively with his sword. So if you dodged everything perfectly, you'd never see it. Now the best tip that I think will actually be able to improve a lot of people's damage is maximizing your damage following a successful burst counter. Alright? After a burst counter, if you attack him relentlessly, he will continually be staggered very easily, and you can pretty much attack him until you have no stamina left. You do need to be attacking him in quick enough succession, so for the Great Sword, your Phantom Knight's Veil buff needs to be active, so that your charged pulses in between the attacks also stagger him. Dual Blades and Spear are fast enough naturally that they will just keep him staggered. In the second secret phase, this also works, so after you get a burst counter, your best opportunity to get a lot of uninterrupted damage like this. You can see I'm just using my entire stamina bar until it's depleted, and he just stays staggered the whole time. Now the last tip to simplify the last phase is just to, whatever, it doesn't matter what gear you're using, use the Knight's 5 set, right? 500 plague resistance is a huge boost to your plague resistance. And if you combine this with a plague resistance elixir, especially at the start of phase 2 when you have that small break, you'll be able to almost just ignore the plague mechanics. Like you can just guard and brink guard normally, and the plague will never build up enough that it actually applies the effect to you. Bring a cleanse potion in case anyway, and any elemental enhancer will help just with a bit of extra bonus damage. I couldn't get the actual status effects to apply, but they do just add flat damage to your attacks, which is handy. Use it before you go through, and a vitality sphere for stamina. Now, after I get an early Knight's Veil buff, I am going to do a reflection or 2 just to demonstrate that thing, but I won't rely on it too heavily for the rest of the fight. I'll just go back to using brink guards, the Great Sword's counter-strike, and dodging. Something to note here if you are wanting to try reflections out, I mistimed this reflection. As you can see, my swing is too late, but because of one of the passives in the reflection skill tree, which is where you take less damage while reflecting, as you can see, even though I mistimed that reflection, I've only taken a very small amount of damage, so it is a little bit forgiving at least. So instead, the more reliable source of damage, which is counter-striking these basic sword abilities, is getting an attack chain following your counter-strike. You can often lead to a stance break doing this, so you can get a nice brutal attack off and a couple of good attacks either side of that brutal attack. He also always does this little roar for a moment after a brutal attack, giving you just a little bit longer to get out that one final attack. So the general strategy for this whole fight is to learn his just 2 or 3 basic sword combos. They're all 3-part combos, and we're going to brink guard those, reflect those, or the Great Sword's counter-strike those, which is just a brink guard. Everything else we're just dodging. All the other random plague looking stuff that he's doing, dodge those, and then when you get your burst counters like that, that's where you do a full big combo attack chain where you can get off lots of attacks in a row. And that's where you're going to do the bulk of your damage. Alright, and that's pretty much the game plan. Brink guard the sword attacks or reflect, and then after burst counters, and there's another one coming here with the 6-part attack, you can get out as much damage as you can. The counter strike will also replenish your entire stamina bar, it seems, so you can always get out like a full combo straight after a counter strike. He does have 2 different burst attacks, one of which is even one of his basic 3-part combos, so he does use them pretty regularly, and they'll give you a lot of opportunities for a lot of damage if you're doing it like this. And as I said, again, anything else that you're a little less comfortable with that isn't just a basic sword attack, feel free to just dodge spam those as best as you can. In terms of plague resistance, even without an elixir active and just the armor bonus we have, I'm taking a very small amount of plague damage, and I didn't even brink guard that. That was a normal guard, so I should take more. So you can, don't be afraid with the gear that we're using, don't be afraid to just hold guard for those attacks that you're really uncomfortable with. Another reflection there on his basic sword attack. As you can see, I've only done 2 or 3 of those, but even just 2 or 3 can make a big difference and help out. 1 or 2 extra burst attacks with the damage that you can do either side of a burst attack really adds up. Now, as soon as you start transitioning to phase 2, run away from him, heal up if you need to, and then run right away and pop a plague resistance elixir. Check out here, 900 plague resistance, huge, all right? You can also use a Vitality Sphere if you want. All right, now stay out of that big AoE when he first transitions, and then he usually starts, not always, but usually with this triple slam. So just be ready to dodge these. If you're uncomfortable dodging, I missed that one, just hold block up, like there. I guard brink that, and as you can see, the plague resistance is nothing. So that 900 plague resistance is really valuable in this phase. Now, probably his most deadly attack. When he sucks you in to him with this big blood wave here, just run away. Don't even try to block it unless you're really comfortable and you're going for no hit kill something. Don't even try. Just run away and dodge that last one because it's a little bit longer. I didn't even dodge it, but that's okay. That's better than getting like 100 to 0 comboed. All right. Now take your time in this phase. As you can see, his health just declines by itself in this phase. I'm still getting hit by stuff. It's no big deal. I'm getting hit by stuff. Look, the plague resistance is nothing. All right. I just got hit by 2 of those in a row. Alright, so you can almost ignore the plague resistance. Just hold block if you need to. I should be holding block for those. It'd be better than taking the damage because the plague resistance isn't doing anything anyway. So just be patient in this phase. His health is depleting by itself over time, and wait till you get back to these sword attacks that you're more comfortable with doing brink guards. When you get this one here, the grab attacks, and this is the same for phase 1, I should have mentioned it. These, he always does 2 or 3 of these in a row. So that's the first one, and I'm waiting for the second. Here it is. And there's the second one, dodge around him. And in this case, in the phase 3, he actually does a 3rd counter strike as well, a burst counter. And again, get the burst counter and you can do a full combo chain. I didn't have my Knight's Veil active there, that's why it didn't work. The Great Sword, our attacks are a little too slow and you do need these little pulses in between while you're charging. So I just activated it before, now let's try again. Full combo chain using your entire stamina bar to get as much damage out as you can. And as you can see, it just does so much damage. The last thing you can do to make this phase easier is use your Phantom. Either for a combo that you really struggle with, just as an extra health bar and a bit of free damage that you can absorb, or use the big charge up katana attack for a huge chunk of damage, is handy as well. And that's it. I won't say easy as that because it's not an easy fight, so don't be upset or disappointed when it's taking you a while. It'll take most people, I would say, in the order of 20, 30 or 40 attempts at this boss before they get him down, unless you're really good at Souls games, which some people are. I'll just scroll through my gear here again. You can pause if you want to have a look at something that I'm doing. I do have the 3-piece bishop set on my sword and accessories just for the damage boost after Furious Swipe. Now in terms of skills, we'll just have a quick look at the Great Sword for those interested. In the common page, take the entire reflection tree if you are going down that route to make it easier, and always take the entire counter tree. That helps out a lot. And then otherwise, this is just a pretty generic Greatsword build. I'll pause that here for people. Counter-Strike gameplay and just Knight's Veil and charging attacks. And that's everything. Like and subscribe and all that good stuff if you like the video, or leave a comment if you found another tip that is handy, as it does help other people in the comments. Thanks for watching, everyone. Cheers.